Marcus Aurelius emphasized that no matter how dire the circumstances, we always have the power to choose our perspective on them. He said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." While Marcus's advice may sound simple, in reality, applying it is not easy if we do not understand the root causes of feeling harmed and if we lack the wisdom to effect necessary change. Fortunately, ancient Stoic philosophers have provided us with the necessary wisdom. They believed that the level of suffering a person must endure largely depends on their acceptance of fate. However, the degree of influence fate has on each individual varies. Stoic philosophers always emphasize that those with strong inner resilience will suffer less than those whose mental well-being depends entirely on external circumstances. Some situations may be harmful to one person, but have no effect on others. Furthermore, many people tend to dwell on negative events from the past and allow them to hurt them for years, while others are determined to overcome and not let the past affect their present and future. A classic example is those who constantly live in fear and anxiety about what might happen in the future. Though it may seem odd, it is the result of prolonged worry. The external world, along with the events occurring within it, is not the primary source of our suffering. In fact, it is our thoughts, memories, and imaginations about them that truly cause harm. Therefore, the key to recovery lies within, where we have complete control. Stoic philosophy focuses on enhancing the spirit, rather than concentrating on strengthening external material things, as they are merely secondary factors and have the least impact on our happiness. Stoicism provides us with a range of tools to cope with life's challenges. In Marcus Aurelius's work Meditations, he shares some ideas to help us better understand experiences that are often considered painful. His writings not only allow us to view our lives from a fresh perspective, but also help us change our thoughts about the challenges we face, so that we can, as he wrote, remain steadfast like a rock, despite the continuous onslaught of waves and winds. Marcus Aurelius described the mind as the ruler of the soul, a statement reflecting Buddhist thought, where the historical Buddha said, "What you think, you become." This implies that how we think greatly influences our feelings. For example, when experiencing physical pain, we can make it worse by resisting and struggling against it. We can also create fear by associating pain with the idea that it will never end or may worsen in the future. Ultimately, our thoughts can generate more suffering than the physical pain itself. Marcus Aurelius argued that our mind should not be shaken by the stirring of the flesh, both gentle and violent stirrings. His meaning when referring to the stirring of the flesh remains somewhat unclear. However, it seems he alluded to physical pain and the role of the mind in experiencing it. For example, the idea of bodily wounds often instills fear in us, and we typically strive to avoid such physical pain. Unfortunately, life doesn't guarantee that we'll never face these things. It's regrettable that we may experience painful illnesses, accidents, and even become victims of violence at some point in life. Most importantly, this often lies beyond our control. However, according to Marcus Aurelius, nothing happens to anyone that they can't endure. Although pain is an inevitable part of human life, we have the choice of whether to endure additional suffering beyond what the external world imposes on us. The extent of the pain we experience depends on how we evaluate and handle it. In my opinion, When negative emotions infiltrate your thoughts through the deep connection between mind and body, you shouldn't try to resist that feeling. Feelings are a natural part of life. However, do not let the mind start judging or labeling them as good or bad. Marcus Aurelius clarifies the difference between feelings and actual suffering here. Feelings are natural, while suffering is often created by the mind. He advises not to resist the pain and to refrain from judging it. It can be said that the feeling of pain does not necessarily have to become suffering if we do not view it as something terrible, but instead accept it as a natural phenomenon, neither good nor bad. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional, as the saying goes. Or we could say that pain is already unpleasant enough. Why make it worse by resisting and judging it? As Marcus Aurelius said, let the part of you that makes judgments remain silent, even when your body is experiencing stabbing, burning, rotting, or being eaten away by cancer. It needs to be recognized that every event that happens in people's lives, whether positive or negative, should not be viewed as absolutely good or bad. We also need to realize that every event in our lives, whether natural or unnatural, is not simply natural or unnatural. Although Marcus Aurelius spoke about the agitation of the flesh, his reasoning can be applied to all forms of pain. Whenever we feel hurt, such as by an insult, for example, it's not the insult itself that causes the hurt, but rather how we evaluate it. Our beliefs shape our judgments. When we believe that no one has the right to offend us, we will feel deeply disturbed when it happens. But if we think that accepting harsh words is an unavoidable part of human interaction, and that we cannot control the actions or words of others, then we will feel less hurt by what they do. Marcus Aurelius asserted that the cause of suffering does not lie in the minds of others, nor is it due to the changes and fluctuations of the world around us. We find it in our own ability to see it. Some people live in a constant state of conflict with the world around them. They seem to be influenced by everything happening around them: the news, the stories of neighbors, and what is happening in the workplace. People like this constantly complain about the imperfections of the world, and in extreme cases, they even convince themselves that life on earth is more of a burden than an existence. If we consistently live in a state of conflict with the world, our beliefs may not accurately reflect reality. In many cases, they even oppose those values. So, to end the conflict with the environment that's happening, we need to change our beliefs. A great way to start is to stop caring excessively about the world around us. In fact, in Meditations, Marcus Aurelius argues against demanding the impossible, calling it madness. We cannot expect what is unattainable, and a clear truth about demanding the impossible is that it's a surefire strategy for failure. However, often in subtle ways, we seem to always demand the impossible because we hope everything will happen in unrealistic ways that are not in line with the nature of the world. Those termed as empty optimists are prone to this. Their optimism leads them to hope and have confidence in a future that's almost entirely unfounded. Confidence and self-belief aren't inherently negative, but if they don't align with reality, disappointment is the logical outcome. Simply expecting good fortune is unrealistic. Wishing to never fall ill, never be humiliated, never be mocked is an impossible demand. We can control these factors much like a rock controls the crashing waves. The mind expects too much, and life seems to always have flaws because reality never satisfies. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized resilience. According to Stoics, resilience means we can't control everything according to our will in nature. Therefore, everything we perceive as flaws carries a purpose and thus exists for a specific reason. The dishonest, arrogant, ungrateful, envious, and shameless are an inseparable part of this world, just like positive qualities such as bad habits, virtues, happiness, sadness, goodness, and evil. Desiring to change this would be a defiance against nature. I quote, "When you face the shamelessness of others, ask yourself this: can a world without shamelessness exist? The answer is no. Then let go of questioning the impossible. In this world, there will always be people who feel no shame, and they are just one of them. Similarly, there will always be wicked, untrustworthy, or any other flawed individuals. Where there is existence, there will be illness and death. Where there are humans, there will be imperfections. Not questioning the impossible means ceasing to try to change the universe. No matter how hard we try, perhaps we cannot change it. The universe always holds the upper hand. If we accept this, we will realize the value of lowering our expectations. And if we no longer hope everything happens as we wish, but only hope they happen as they truly do, then is there anything that can harm us? Decay and imperfection have their own beauty. Looking at the cracks on old walls or the curves of trees, we will discover fascinating aspects. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the split loaves of bread in the oven and the crusts, part of the baking process, creating a pleasant sensation and stimulating the desire to eat. He pointed out that nature's boldness carries a special allure. The aged face, the wrinkled apple, the ruins of a city, though decayed, still hold their own beauty when viewed from a different perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "And so if a person has a deep soul and understanding of the processes of the universe, then there is hardly anything, somehow, that will not appear agreeable to him, even in the simplest situations." A man of such kind would also find fascination in observing the real teeth of wild animals, rather than replicas created by painters and sculptors. And he may see a freshness, innocence in an old woman or man. So why don't we approach life's troubles in a similar manner? Life, as a whole, is always filled with challenges. In life, many things often don't unfold as we expect. A romantic relationship between two people may end in tragedy instead of the dreams of a happy future. A promising career, seemingly built on experience and professional expertise, may also crumble due to health issues. Even if our lives flow smoothly without encountering difficulties, and everything unfolds as we expect, there will still come a day when we have to face illness and death. It's unavoidable. We may spend our entire lives struggling with challenges and pain, but that's still a part of life. In fact, often it's the obstacles and adversities that inspire creative souls, like writers, filmmakers, artists, musicians, and poets, to create meaningful and attention-grabbing works. Instead of getting angry and resisting adversity, perhaps we should learn to appreciate it, much like how we accept the lines on the surface of a loaf of bread, as they are also an essential part of it. The ugly often comes along with the beautiful, and if we only want the latter while disregarding the former, then we're truly denying nature. But if we learn to embrace both pain and joy, we'll be better equipped to handle life's challenges. Even in the most trying times, we often can uncover valuable insights. Misfortune can serve as inspiration, reminding us of our own vulnerability, altering our perspective on life, and encouraging compassion towards others. If we can recognize the hidden beauty within the challenges we face, then fate cannot harm us. It's when all criticisms are against us that we truly feel the pain. Because we cannot control external circumstances, we often place too much value on things we cannot influence by evaluating them. As a result, things beyond our control can dictate our emotions. When unfavorable situations occur, we feel sad. And when things we expect depart from us, we also feel heartbroken. The greater the power of judgment, the more vulnerable we become to the surprises of Fortuna, the goddess of luck, opportunity, and unpredictable fate. However, Fortuna cannot harm us unless we allow it. Not allowing Fortuna to harm us does not mean we have control over our destiny. Destiny will follow its own course, and we cannot intervene. We have the ability to control how we respond to fate. We can resist it or accept it. No matter how unfortunate the circumstances, we can still accept what Fortuna brings us, or feel angry and disappointed, or even see the hidden beauty within it. When we are hurt, we often cannot control the actions of those around us. We can entirely focus on strengthening ourselves and cultivating resilience in life, rather than confronting or trying to control everything around us. For example, Marcus Aurelius emphasizes that the hatred or contempt of others towards us is not our concern, but theirs. Our task is to remain calm in such situations and not to be drawn into their malice. We can view every misfortune that befalls us from a new perspective. According to the philosophy of Stoics, misfortune does not affect our happiness unless we allow it to. Therefore, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been.